Hey addicts, welcome back. Today we are here to discuss and review the next volume in the IDW collection of TMNT. I'll just give you a little showcase of the volume here. It's got a really cool showcasing of Leo and also his signature blue mask, which is really cool. You got a nice menacing Leo on the back there. I've been really loving the presentation of these editions, and nothing has really changed on just like, you know, the overall quality or look of these editions that I would, you know, say is a deterrent from you picking them up. So I'm probably not going to mention them again in the future ones just to keep it shorter. Unless, you know, something changes, then obviously I'll address it if the quality or something like that has gone down. But for the most part, they're staying really nice, and I just dig how these look on the shelf next to each other. They're really, really cool. Now we're going to get into looking at the overall collection, talking about maybe more so the micro series one-shots because they're kind of their own thing, and then we will discuss the ongoing series in more of like a bulk sense. Just tackling the few pros and cons throughout that arc, because we do get the complete arc in this one collection. I do have another video though, much like I did with the second one, that is going to be put up in unlisted. So if you want to check out the more in-depth video where we go through every single little thing, by all means go check that out. It will be shown in the playlist, and I'll try to link it in the cards in this video. But with that being said, let's just jump right in. So there is two issues primarily that are outside of the arc but kind of coincide with the ongoing series. So that actually is showcased at the very beginning of this volume with the 2012 annual. This is a really, really cool issue. I like it a lot. Not only is it extended, so it's much bigger. I mean, honestly, it's probably like a good, like, just to give you an idea, this is still part of the annual, and that's like a good chunk. I don't know if you can see in relation to it, but it's a pretty good size of the story. So it sets up a lot of the key players that you'll see in this next arc, which is titled City Fall, as well as kind of getting some payoff of characters that we kind of just saw, but we never touched back on again. So having them come back in here is really cool as well. That being the Savant ninjas, which I know I'm saying that wrong. It's probably something much more fancier, since it's probably going to be a French term, but that's just what I'm calling them for the sake of things. And then we also get a look at a few other, you know, just characters that are prevalent in New York. So for instance, like Fighting Ferguson, Kid Kennedy, Victor, who is the second command of the Savant ninjas, as well as Angel's dad, Brooklyn Bridge. So again, just kind of like those minor characters that will be popping up, but overall I really liked the feel of this one. Not only, like I said, does it set up the overall arc that you're going to see in the ongoing series, but it's just a nice one-off that I think has everything that a TMNT fan will really appreciate. It has all of the turtles together. It's got Casey in there. It's got a mixture of, you know, them dealing with the street thugs or looking at the different kind of factions that are in the underbelly of New York, as well as obviously you know, the two ninja factions that are, you know, a much prevalent threat, and as well as, like, again, like some more street thugs like the Purple Dragons. So all of that mixed together is really cool. And not only that, but it is like the first full issue, if I recall, in the IDW series, where we get it fully done in Eastman's classic nostalgia-filled style, which is so cool. And it does have a completely different flair than some of the other art that is showcased in the other issues. So again, really like that. And there is just a couple of things in there that, you know, I think Eastman really does hit you with the nostalgia, giving that more 80s type vibe to it. Won't go into too much detail in that. I'll save it if you want to look at the other review, or the longer video that I have. Now, issue 21 is also, again, this is kind of like the prelude issue in the ongoing run, because the annual I don't think is quite labeled as the ongoing series. So issue 21 is this issue that's kind of again getting you ready for the arc that we're about to get in. It's a very short issue, but overall I think it is it's one that I do appreciate, and I think it's probably going to be better received when you read the whole story together. If you're reading it issue by issue, you know, obviously some of these issues are going to feel maybe a little lackluster, or, you know, you're obviously going to have, you know, more of a strong opinion on which ones are your favorite or which ones were better in the arc. But I think overall, I really appreciate the little details that are put in each of the issues, as well as kind of the slow burn it has sometimes, especially when you're reading it in the book. But from issue 22 to, I believe, issue 27, if I could just double check real quick, because it should say on the back here. Actually, it's probably issue 28. So issue 22 to issue 28 is going to be the full City Fall arc. And in this, you do have obviously the Foot Clan assimilating some more allies, as well as getting a better grip on the city. We see them kind of win a quote-unquote battle against the Turtles, with not only them dealing a heavy blow in terms of a wound on one of the allies of the Turtles, but as well as taking one of the Turtles into the fold of the Foot Ninja, which is really cool. It's kind of like one that we've seen played in some of the other iterations, but I think because at least this series has had a lot of different elements and pulling from different iterations, it leads this, again, just being fully fresh, even if it's, something that you might have seen before in some of the other ones that you've grown up with or, read in the past. Overall, though, I think it nails what it's going for, making not only the Foot as a whole, but Shredder having just that much more of a menacing and brutal presence. There's definitely a few instances throughout this arc that Shredder does something that I was like, what the fuck? He did that? Like, they went that far? All right, I really dig it. Again, it's not like, he does kill people, and you do see characters die. Out of core characters, there hasn't been anything too drastic yet, but the little bit of bit that they've pushed the envelope, I think, at least from a TMNT look, it's really nice to see them kind of pushing the boundaries and possibly setting up, something definite and an actual definite deadly blow to happen to one of the core characters. So I do like the menacing factors that they're bringing to the Foot, as well as deeper connections. You have the thing with Karai and kind of a conflict that she's having with the Shredder in terms of his decisions and who he picks as his second in command, as well as bringing some more depth to like Alopex, which we see a little bit from her Michael Series one shot, and even a little bit of Kitsune, which is a name drop and a character that we've gotten again set up for in the Secrets of the Foot Clan miniseries from the last volume. So overall, again, just really like the blend of things. Now, there was a couple of downsides. I guess one positive thing before I move on to the downside, is that the thing that they did with the Purple Dragons, liked it a lot. I like that we got the different kind of approach to the Purple Dragons at the beginning of the series, and it slowly built up into something that feels very natural and a very honest progression. And I do love the twist that they kind of put in there, that twisted element that they put in there to transition the dragons into a different type of faction. I'll explain a little bit more in that. I'm not trying to keep this completely spoiler-free, so don't get me wrong. We will talk about spoilers here, but just, trying to keep it as simple and clean-cut as possible while I'm discussing most of this information. Now, getting on to a few of the downsides are a little bit nitpicks, I guess you could say. There is one thing that I will put it in this category, but don't misconstrue, because I don't think it is a negative, but it is one that may come across one if you're reading this issue by issue, and that is with the way that they deal with Leonardo's story in this arc, in this volume. I do love a lot of the reasoning behind it, I think, because of the previous setup of the Turtles' history and just, surrounding their kind of rebirth, in a sense. It definitely gives you a believable factor of why certain things are done. There is an issue, I don't remember which one it is. It might be in issue 23 or 24. We get a moment where Leo seemingly does have the jump on Splinter and could have killed him, but the Shredder does refrain from Leo doing it. And in that issue, at that moment, it's kind of, the explanation is that Shredder wanted to kill Splinter himself, so that's why he lets Leo stop, but that gives the Turtles an opening to escape. Now, in the moment, it does seem like a flaw, like, oh, like, why would he do that? Like, obviously, if he had the moment to very weaken them, and, as we've seen before, the Shredder in this iteration is not one to hesitate. So I felt like when I was in that moment, it did seem kind of a cheap way to get the Turtles out of this situation that obviously they probably wouldn't have had the best percentage of getting out. But they do correct this when you read it later on, or not correct it, but just kind of giving you a little bit more insight of what was going on. And I do love the layeredness of it to where, obviously they say something in the moment when they're in the midst of their enemies or trying to keep the manipulation of Leo under control. But, learning that it is a bit more complicated than that when we see Shredder and Kitsune talking. And then, after Karai brings up the conflict to Shredder, and the disapproval that she has of Leo being in the foot and kind of the special rules that he has given. And so I do like the, I think it makes sense that not only is Leo dangerous in this situation because he has the strongest connection out of all of his brothers to his past life, to his mother, and because of that supernatural element, it makes him more resistant to Kitsune's magic. So having that dynamic, and then also, the explanation that, if they push him too far, he could more easily snap out of the spell. So I think it just blends really well when you read it all together. Obviously when you're waiting it issue by issue, month to month, there's a few months in there that you might forget that information, or, you just remember the feeling you had about the issue, but you couldn't remember why, or, any possible things could happen, right? So I think when you read it all together, it's not really a big thing, and actually it is something that you'll probably be like, ooh, I really like that when I'm analyzing it or when I'm looking back at the story in each of these issues. But that is something that maybe some people would bring up as a flaw if they're reading this, just here and there. Now, the other thing, this is kind of a smaller thing, but there is one moment where we see the Turtles at the lair and they're talking, and Donatello mentions the Technodrome. And at this point in time, this is the beginning part of this arc, I cannot remember any instance where they were told about the Technodrome. Now, granted, there is a few parts in the story where they easily could have gotten this information. April could have, heard or, read something about a Technodrome being mentioned when she was looking for info at Stock Gym before it got blown up. There's obviously the opportunity that Honeycutt could have told the Turtles when they were helping him in Neutrino, right? Little things like that. It's not necessarily a plot hole because there is instances that you could assume and it would fit in perfectly, but it's never told specifically. So I'm gonna put it against the volume this time. It just seemed like maybe the authors were hoping that you didn't remember specifically them getting that information and just assumed, well, obviously they know. So a little bit of a ding in my book, but overall not the biggest thing in the world, right? The other thing that is probably a bit more prevalent is with the both the Angel, Casey, and Hun dynamic. I love that dynamic, by the way, and it's done really well through the story. But there is later parts in the City Fall arc where it does feel, I don't know what to say. It feels, I guess, absent-minded of the writers, I guess, maybe, that those characters, Angel and Casey, wouldn't bring up certain information about the Shredder and the relationship that Hun has with the Shredder, because, here's your spoiler warning here for some bigger information, but Hun is Casey's dad, Arnold, and so that is a really cool thing, but because Arnold is working, or I should say Hun is working for the Shredder, and the Shredder promising him to help pay for Casey's bills and stuff like that in service, or in return for Hun's service. Hun has, I don't know. Like, I feel like that's something that, you know, might change his loyalties or might make him snap out of it again a little bit. But, you know, they never once bring up that info. And they kind of do it in a way like, oh, they were about to bring it up and then they get in the moment and then, you know, it might come up later. They might use it as an opportunity to make a quote unquote redeemable moment for Hun. But I don't know. If that interaction felt really weird, and I feel like, instead of it playing out the way it did, it would have been something that they would have led with, especially when Hun brings up the kind of diss that Casey's got a new family. So, I don't know. It was a little odd there. But there's a couple other things in the ongoing series that I had a little bit of a nitpick here and there. But overall, really great arc. And again, I'm loving the focus on the Foot Clan, because I do think they are the most intriguing villains that the Turtles have, or at least they're the most fun to see. Now, getting into some of the micro-series one-shots, because as we wrap this up, I'll try to go over it as fast as I can here. The first micro-series one-shot that we get is of Old Hob. What can I say? It was a great way to add depth and a little bit more intrigue and interest to the possibilities of the character for a character that was just kind of like, it's kind of blasé, like kind of a throwaway starter character, right? So I really do like the, you know, I think the history that they add, albeit is not like the most like elaborate, but I think it fits really well for just the kind of character, you know, Old Hob being a mutant, being a animal that seemingly had been around for a while before he was mutated. So I do appreciate that level of depth that they're bringing to the character, as well as probably even more so explaining a little bit or adding to Hobbs' craftiness by showing us just exactly how he was able to survive his last encounter that we saw him in, and why or how he has certain bits of material on him that he is saving for presumably a rainy day. So, you know, like that, those elements they brought in, art was great in that one, as well as I think the ending has a great segue into when we see Hob again in the ongoing series, because it's kind of, you know, played around, not, you know, lined up in between the ongoing series is what I'm trying to say here. So after that, we get the Alopex one. This is the one I have the most problems with out of the micro series one shots in this volume, but it's not to say it's bad. It's just that I think overall, out of the micro series one shots that we've gotten, Alopex is, I would say, the least interesting character out of the micro series one shots that we've gotten, so that's why it brings it down a little bit. You know, that's obviously subjective, so if you like Alopex, don't come after me. But I think the stuff that they go over in hers it's nice, or I should say it's nicely well done, and you know, I can't say that it isn't you know, unbelievable, but I do think it was more so, it feels like it was more so done to point it in a certain direction where it's kind of like a get out of jail free card for the Turtles in case we got a, you know, a situation where the Turtles just have no hope of getting out there, or they got the odds too much stacked against them, and then they have this seed planted for a character that, you know, I'm not going to say is a right-away character, but it is to some extent expendable, right? But I do like how her issue kind of has a theme of family and loyalty, you know, again, blending that old life that she had of an animal before mutation, before cognitive stuff, and how, you know, because that's all she's known, how she's kind of looked at the Foot Clan as a, I guess, surrogate family, and like she sees her life in a parallel way, and then because of the sort of betrayal and kind of pushing the limit that Shredder does to Alopex, how that actually is a misstep on their part, you know, creating this wedge that, you know, for a soldier that basically had undying loyalty, now pushed to the brink of, you know, seeing an enemy, you know, essentially from her past, and how that parallels. I think it's done well, but again, like I said, it feels like when I read it, it felt like kind of a forced direction for that character to get the turtles out of a bad situation. And what do you guess? Lo and behold, in the City Fall arc, that's exactly what happens. Alopex comes to their aid right when they really need it. So again, it's not like faulty. It's done well, but I think it's just like an overall like kind of like weird direction to put it. But again, I can't really fault it. It just wasn't for me. That's the only thing I'd really want to say about it. But I will say, does not even come close to the bad micro series one shot of Donatello, which Donatello still gets shitted on a lot in this volume, and I don't know why. Him and his bow staff. I don't know why everybody hates Donatello. It's crazy to me. Bow staffs are cool. Gosh. You know, some people are like, ooh, you just got a stick? All right. But if you ever get hit by one of those things, my gosh, pray you can still be conscious, because it's like a 99% rate. Anyway, I'm getting off a tangent. So we're going to wrap this up pretty soon so that we can get this in here. The micro series one shot of Karai. Again, and focuses on some interesting information. Not all of it I think is necessarily important, but I think it does do Karai justice in the sense of, you know, kind of just learning her background so we can understand maybe how she feels in the current situation, what she's trying to strive for, or kind of like where those motivations come from. There is a bomb-ass instance in her micro. There's actually two moments that are really great in her micro series one shot. One is obviously Shredder basically pulling Freddy Krueger, you know, showing up in her dreams and leaving a mark on her. I thought that was dope, especially the possibilities that it opens for the supernatural elements and just how much they can have a reach. So really digging that. I hope that can be played on a little bit, since we've already seen a snippet of exactly the extent of some of the supernatural elements, as well as we get a really cool dark Leo, or foot Leo, coming in and trying to, you know, be boss man number 2, which I do love even though, you know, obviously they paint Leo as being conflicted, I do love kind of the attitude change that he has as he's, you know, putting on, or at least, you know, under the spell, so he has a different persona. But again, you know, I think it plays overall well into the main series line, and obviously it lets you have a nice little tease build up for a few other characters that we're going to have. Now, the next one is the Hun micro series one shot. Again, really did like that one. I think the biggest thing about that one was the twist, and also just kind of the overall vibe the Hun micro series one shot has. I think outside of the Turtles and Shredder and having that past relationship from their other lives, I think the Casey, you know, Angel Purple Dragons Hun scenario is probably my second favorite. It's just, you know, so personal, and I love how it connects back to both of their new families, right? With Hun being with the Foot, and with Casey being with the Turtles, and, you know, having kind of a family split and then put together with their new families. I don't know, just something about that I think really hits well. And I do like the vibe that the overall micro series one shot has, where, you know, Hun's kind of in the circle. I know, kind of a cliche, we've seen it in many things, but I think it overall just lands a lot better, fits a lot better, because we've had, you know, basically 2 full volumes of, you know, his past self being a drunk. Now, the next micro series one shot is Bebop and Rocksteady. Yes, we've been waiting forever to see these characters. We've seen their human selves a few times. Now they get their full micro series one shot, and they do show up at the end of City Fall arc. Not much to say other than it's just a really fun ride with their micro series one shot. I think they do a perfect blend of, you know, keeping that kind of feel of those characters that you know and love. You know, having that bit of a goofy, comedic vibe to them, but also giving them a more darker element. It's kind of more of a, I don't know, like they, you know, what would it be? Not sadistic. Well, I guess sadistic kind of plays into it, but, you know, enjoying the pain and the violence, and just, you know, going in guns blazing. So they definitely do have a few moments where they come across as the stereotypical, like, dark anime character with like the one eye glowing and everything else is shadowed out, and they're just tearing up people. Again, I think the comedy lands well, and I think it's put in at the right time, so that the overall the story that's happening or unraveling in the moment that Bebop and Rocksteady are in. It doesn't give too much of taking off the serious moments of what's happening with them there. But I think it still has the believability of them being able to be the characters that you like. So again, really well done. Do like their backstory. There is a little, I guess, again, another little gripe of, is there consistency with how the mutagen's working? If the mutagen works this certain way for these instances, why don't they use it for more stuff? But maybe we'll see that played on a little bit more. Now, the last micro series one shot is of Shredder, and man, I'm gonna tell you right now, this might be the coolest one just because of the possibilities and just also focusing on Shredder's always cool, right? But I do like the bit of sneak peek we get, or kind of a look into the hell or torture that Orokusaki had to go to or go through to get to his present day circumstances. And I love that we get to see kind of a what would you say? I guess it's like a Japanese-centered purgatory or hell type place where obviously Shredder sees a bit of outside the time limits spectral. I like the kind of twist they give, and there is something that an Oni child says to him at the beginning of the issue that you don't really understand until you get to maybe the last 4 or 5 pages of the issue, and you're like, oh shit, that's really cool, especially looking back at it. Again, kind of sneaking a sneak peek of the future or possible future that the series might go in, and I think it adds to just the complexity of the Shredder and kind of the motivations that he has. It's just really cool. What else can I say? Now, that is all that I'm going to talk about because we're already past the 20-minute mark. So let me just say, overall, loved this volume. Again, some of the art, I love most of the art, especially for the micro series one shots. I think are done really well. The main series issues, I love it when Eastman does it. Because again, it has that nostalgia factor. I pretty much like the general one that they get, or the one that does it mostly too. I don't know. I still have the thing with the eyes, but I'll get over it eventually. I know this is only the 3rd volume, so we got plenty of story left to cover. I'll probably get used to it by then, but presentation's really good. The story's been fantastic. I think probably the biggest standout still to me is just how impressed I am by how much story they're compacting in there, and especially with each issue feeling like you're getting something either with those characters or connecting back to the overall arc and just the importance they might have on lifting up some of the moments or some of the beats that are going to hit harder because of the extra information we get. Now, I know in some of the future volumes I think they're a little bit shorter, or they have the cross series things. So when we get into those, there's probably going to be a bit more of a hit to the rating, but at least for this 3rd volume, I think it's still hinged strong and on the same level as the other 2. So I'm going to give it an FFA, which if you're new around here, that's fucking fantastically amazing. I love it. It's really high up there, and it's again, I'll reiterate, one of the best comics I've read it in a long time, and since I am a TMNT fan, I think by the end of this, it's gonna maybe tie with my favorites. So, really liking it right now, guys. You should go check out the volume. Like I said, this is the IDW collection, Volume 3. And the next one we're going to be looking at is, well, what would you guess? Volume 4. And this has Donatello on the front, which is really cool. This one's a lot shorter, so hopefully the video will get out faster, but we'll just see. I'll try to have the longer videos up as well, so if you want to get the more in-depth look. But anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here so we can wrap this up. So see you guys next time. Be sure to check out other stuff. We have more comic stuff coming up, and as well, guys, have a good one. Peace, guys.